Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Tommy G Weekly. So this is a little bit of a different setup today. Jordan and I have had a little chat and we've been sort of looking at some of the comments that you guys have been sharing with us, and we've realised that there's probably something that we can do, or a few things that we can do to add extra value to you. Remember, that's the whole point of doing these videos, is to provoke you to think a little bit differently, to maybe give you some positive influence and positive energy amongst all of the distracting stuff that's out there on the internet. And so this is a different style of approach today. We're going to be talking about some topical subjects, things that have been in the news, things that are very current right now, and things that I feel to be important. I would love your take on these subjects. So please, if you're watching this now, and you're playing along at home and you're here tuning in, then go ahead and share your view, because there's no such thing as wrong and right when it's opinion. You can have an opinion just like I can have an opinion, and I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm just here as a catalyst for positive change. So I feel like the news is heavily weighted on the negative side, and perhaps we need to start looking at things and spreading the word of more positive solution-based thinking. So I'm hoping I can add to that, and I know that there's other people out there doing the same to make that happen. So we pull together and we change the trade of energy out there. So first of all, we're going to be talking about the Weight Watchers app for kids. So Weight Watchers have brought out an app, and it's called KURBO. I say Weight Watchers, they're no longer called Weight Watchers. They rebranded themselves a few months ago, maybe just over a year ago, to WW. And so this company known as WW, who by the way are on the stock market, so they are very much invested in being successful and having their shareholders to benefit from that. They have brought out an app for kids, and the app itself is a way for children to learn about food, and essentially using a traffic light system which teaches them what foods are essentially good, what foods they should have in moderation, and what foods they should look to maybe avoid or treat as, luxury foods. Now, this is a really, really interesting one, and I think that, I'd love to know your view on this, but when I first heard about this app for kids, my initial feeling was of like, oh shit, this is definitely not a good thing. The psychological damage that it can do to a child. I mean, this app is for kids starting as young as 8 to be able to use this app. Now, initially it was a bit of a shock and a bit of a scared feeling, I suppose. But the thing about these things and some of the stuff that happens in the news and some of the stuff that comes up with, we can't change the fact that it's happened, right? So sometimes all of the energy that we have and all the hatred and all the anger that we have is really misplaced, because there's nothing we can do about the fact that it's happened. Now, there's been campaigns that have started, and people are, using hashtags to encourage WW to shut this down. And that energy is admirable, but I think that energy could also trade somewhere else. And so my point of view on this, and I'd love to get to know yours, is that if we can't change the fact that it's happened, then we can only look to make it better. I do think this is a problem. However, in the long run, personally, my opinion is that it will be a good thing, because we have a problem with child obesity, and it's almost as if we've gotten perhaps used to the fact that we have a problem, and we know that there's people out there doing things, and we know that there are professionals and there are doctors and nurses and people in the education system that are doing something. Now, WW are a massive company that have come along and basically gone boom like that, which has just disrupted everything for everyone and changed the game overnight. And so now we can only hope, and we can only actively do what we can to innovate and better educate parents, because that's where the responsibility ultimately lives. Education systems, clubs, anywhere that kids are going to be learning and growing, and we can actually make it better. I predict, and here it is in this episode today on the 22nd of August, I predict that we will see some big moves from the likes of Jamie Oliver, Joe Wicks, people like that who will go and innovate to create a better way for children to learn about food, because that's what this is all about. This is about kids learning about food, which is not a bad thing, but the bad thing comes when a company like WW, who have lost over $1.4 billion in the last 2 years, have to bring out a new innovation to please their shareholders. And ultimately, they've created a new market, a market for children, which is a very fragile market, and from a kind of secret agenda point of view, is perhaps going in to grab a very fragile market that will eventually turn into a very long customer, possibly for life. I mean, imagine, this is a bit conspiracy-esque now, but imagine if some of these kids grew up and they only ate food that was trusted and verified by them, because that's all they've ever known. I mean, it's a dangerous situation that I do think needs to be talked about. I don't necessarily have an answer. I know that I like to stay on the positive side of things, which is that I believe we will now innovate and we will go head to head with this. And it's up to professionals and influencers and parents and educators to know enough about the subject in order to protect their children from anything that might lead them down a negative path psychologically, but also to know within their home environment that they can have a positive influence on what food goes on the table. So this is not a problem that is new. You know, child obesity is something that's been on our radar now for 10, 15 years. And perhaps this is the necessary evil to spark the conversation once again and for innovation to really happen. So again, if you're watching this now on the YouTube channel, do comment underneath. We'd love to know your point of view on this. Perhaps you think it's a good thing, perhaps you see it as a good move no matter what, or maybe you're just completely against this, and if you could turn back time, you would absolutely want to live in a world that this app did not exist. So let's move on to the second part of our show or topic of conversation today. So today in the UK is GCSE results day. Now I can remember 16 years old, I was in Spain, I was in a caravan, I was on holiday, and I think I sent my perhaps girlfriend at the time or best friend, I can't remember, to the school, and I gave them like a written permission to get my results. I think it was my friend actually. And I remember getting the phone call from my friend, and he said, yeah, this is what you got, you know, you got this grade and this grade and this grade. And literally, I don't think I've had much, if any, conversation about those grades since that moment. Like GCSEs I know they've changed slightly in terms of levels rather than letters, but GCSEs in our education system are almost, I think, like a sort of a means to getting into college, but not necessarily the be all and end all. I know some very successful people who had hardly any, if any, GCSEs. I know people that left school before they did their exams and have done extremely well. And on the flip side, I also know I've got friends who are doctors and vets, and of course GCSEs need to be straight A's in order to go to college and do the same to then go on and be that and do that profession. So I guess again, would love to know your point of view on this for GCSEs. Have you got kids that have just had their GCSE results, or do you know people who are picking their results up and are pleased with them? Do you know people that have picked their results up and are disappointed? Would love to know your point of view, but this is where I am on this particular topic. As a young person, it's important that you have an idea of where you want to go in life and how the education system should be in order to get there. But know that those results do not dictate what's possible for you in your life. Those results are not clues or indications of what you're capable of at all. So like, take that both ways. If you've got wicked results, do not get lazy, rest on your laurels and think that that's it, you've made it, you're in for life, you're going to be good, you're going to get the best jobs and stuff like that, because that's not necessarily the case. And ultimately, the flip side exists. If you haven't got the results you wanted and you feel like you've perhaps underperformed in your GCSEs, then that's okay too, because it is not a representation of what you're capable of. It's simply a measure of your secondary school experience. So I guess this is kind of important as well for those of you that are watching that are in higher education, college, university. It doesn't necessarily dictate what's possible. There are certain jobs that you need to do things and have grades in, but even so, there are also other ways in. You can, and there are instances where people have come through the back door, so to speak, and still managed to get the job they wanted. So yeah, we'll get to the comments in just a second. Thank you, Instagram, Andrew, again, keep them coming, my man. Yeah, personally, the GCSEs didn't really play a big part in my journey. I am not the person to come and speak to about higher education. I did well at GCSE, and then at college I did enough, and then I didn't go to university. I went straight into work. I knew that I wanted to get a job in the fitness industry. I knew what I wanted to do, and that is the most important thing for any young person. If you haven't got a North Star approach yet, if you don't know what it is you want to do yet, then just keep doing the best you can with the process and the time that you're in. For example, do the best you can at school, do the best you can at college, do the best you can to learn and grow until something opens up. And when it does, that's your North Star approach. That's all that matters. I was very grateful and fortunate to have that at an early age. 17 years old, I knew that there was no possibility of me going to university. I knew that I wanted to get out, get a job, get experience, go travel, work while I was abroad, come back, start a business. Like, I already knew all of those things, which was an advantage obviously for me. But what about you watching this? Like, do you regret your GCSE or your A-level or your university results? Do you regret going to university? Do you wish you went to university? I'd love to know what you think. Remember, this is all about discussion. Jordan, I don't know how much discussion we're going to get on this first episode. Like, we might not get any. Please give us a comment, otherwise we might not have any, and that would be bad. It would make us look really shit, wouldn't it? Can you do it, even if you just like do it through kind of feeling sorry for me? I'd love for you to get involved in the conversation.
I'll put a comment.
Your comment. Good man. So thank you for watching this episode of Tommy G Weekly. Let me know if this is more of what you'd like to do, me to do in the future, if this is the sort of thing that you think is interesting. This only works if you get involved in the conversation. I'm here to debate and stir it up and make your voice heard as much as anyone else is here, because we get fed a certain narrative from the news, we get fed a certain narrative from social media. And sometimes, like I shared earlier about the birth of philosophy, sometimes it's about not necessarily being governed by what you perceive to be right or wrong, or science or fact or Google, but just being able to express yourself without thinking that there will be some sort of opinion battle of consequence and right and wrong, but just openly discussing. So, that's the goal for this method of approach. So thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll speak to you again next week.